in your mind, you could say, oh, 6% broke tax. Like when you think of that, that makes it, you know, undesirable. That makes it like, dang, I don't want that. That's broke tax. Have you ever learned something new about money and you ask yourself, why didn't anybody ever tell me this? Or why didn't I know this sooner? I have had that happen many a time in my life. And that's what this video is about. I just want to share a few money lessons that I wish I would have learned sooner. So let's jump right in with lesson number 1, live on less than you make. Now, I know this is a very, you know, common sense lesson, but I didn't know it for a long time. And so I guess it wasn't common sense to me. I did not live on less than what I made. When I first graduated college, got my first job, I lived on everything I made, and more actually. But this lesson is so important to learn because you have to be able to put aside money every month. You have to be able to save. And if you are living on everything that you make or more than what you make, you cannot save. And if you cannot save, then you cannot prepare your future self for retirement. And this is such a great habit to build early on in life, because if you're trying to start this habit, you know, in your 30s or 40s, you already, you know, have these ingrained habits of spending. So you have to kind of totally retrain your mind to save. So if you can get this down when you're in your early 20s, that would be so amazing. So that's why I'm doing this video. So if you start out in your career and you're making, say, $3,000 a month, act like you don't make $3,000 a month. Act like you make $2,800 a month, and that other $200, that don't exist. Do not plan for it. Do not spend it. Do not account for it. What I want you to do with that extra $200 is to put it aside to save, whether that be in your 401k or that be in an emergency fund, or, you know, if you wanted to do a Roth IRA or other investments, or saving even for sinking funds. So I want you to build the habit of putting aside money and living on less than what you make. And the earlier you can get this down, the more money you can save, the more, you know, wealth that you can build earlier on in life. And the less that you'll struggle, because you won't have as much debt because you have money put aside for unexpected expenses. So build this habit early. I know that it's, you know, it's, oh, everybody says that, but it's true. Like, it's necessary. Like, you cannot live on all your income. And I know in today's economy, this is, you know, easier said than done. I totally understand that, but you have to find a way. Ultimately, that's all there is to it. You have to find a way to live on less than you make, because nobody is gonna, you know, prepare you for retirement. Nobody else but you. That's why I'm making this video, because I want you guys to learn these things now and start putting them into action now, so we get rid of all excuses. So live on less than you make and save your money. Lesson number 2, I wish someone would have told me that you cannot get rich or build wealth without investing. Now, I have a family member who hates investing, does not believe in investing, does not trust the stock market, and, you know, they do not invest. But this family member has the luxury of their company having a pension, and so they get paid every month from their pension in retirement, and they also get, you know, medical benefits from their retirement. Now, that person didn't have to invest every month for retirement in their working years, because their company invested every month for their retirement during their working years. So if you don't have a pension with your employer, you need to be investing. I really wish that I would have learned this lesson earlier in life, and I wish somebody would have taught me this, because the earlier you start investing, the more compound interest can work for you. And compound interest is considered to be the 8th wonder of the world. And basically what compound interest is your money making money. Like, did you know that if you invested $100 from the age of 18 to 65 with a rate of return of about, say, 10%, that by the time you get to 65, you would have $1.2 million? Now, let's just say you didn't get the memo at 18 like I didn't, and you started investing at 28, and you do the exact same thing. You invest $100 a month from the age 28 to the age 65, and you also get a 10% rate of return. You would actually only have $400,000. That is a $700,000 difference just because you waited 10 years to start investing. And that's you investing your money. So let's just say you're like my family member and you don't trust the stock market, you don't trust investing, and you rather just save your money. All right, let's say you save $100 a month for 45 years and you get a APY of about 3% in your savings account. In 45 years, you would only have $144,000. Like, how you gonna retire off of that? Basically, your retirement is going to be you continuing to work, or you're going to have to move in with one of your children. And can I just say that children are not a retirement plan? I hope that this lesson really opens your eyes to how important investing is. And this lesson really hits home for me because I didn't start investing until I was 27 years old. And before that, I didn't even know it was a thing. And so I really wish someone would have taught me about investing. I wish someone would have taught me what an ETF was, what an index fund was, or what a mutual fund was, or what dividends are, or what an expense ratio is, or how to diversify your investments, to spread out your risks. All of these things I wish somebody would have taught me. Lesson number 2 that I wish somebody would have taught me is pay yourself first. So this basically means you saving and setting aside money to build your wealth before you pay anybody else. And the importance of this is you, like I said, build your wealth first, and then you pay all of your bills and all your other expenses. Now that I've convinced you to invest, you will do that first before you spend your money on other things. And if you have a 401k from your employer that is already taken out of your paycheck, then kudos to you, you are already paying yourself first. And I remember teaching this in one of my other videos, and I got a comment from someone that was basically saying, like, it's not good advice because why would somebody pay themselves first, or why would somebody save money before they, even buy their food, or maybe they can't even afford their bills, let alone saving. And so he was basically saying that it's bad advice to say pay yourself first. And, again, I understand that right now in this economy, with this high inflation, everything's more expensive, and it is really difficult to follow these financial principles. It is very difficult to just cover your living expenses, let alone saving money and investing. I totally get that. I'm not, I don't want to sound tone deaf, but again, I don't want you guys to have a defeated mindset. I don't want you guys to say, well, since I can't do it right now, it's not possible, so, it's stupid advice. I don't think that that's true. I like to know the right thing to do, even if I can't do it right now. So even if I can't invest 15% of my income, I would like to know that that's the right thing to do. I would like to know that that's the goal so that I can work up to that goal. So yeah, maybe you can't pay yourself first right now. Obviously, cover your bills, feed yourself. That's important. But when work up to being able to pay yourself first. So whether that be, once you get a pay raise or get a side hustle where you're making more income, where that can be a goal of yours to pay yourself first. But I feel like in this economy where everything is really hard, it's so easy to kind of have a defeated mindset. And I remember when, I was terrible with money, I was in a ton of debt, and, I heard like, okay, you're supposed to be investing 15% of your income. And I have a all or nothing mindset in me, and it's not always good because I was like, oh, well, okay, I can't do 15%, so I'm not going to invest anything because they said 15%, so if I can't do 15, I'm not going to do nothing because anything less is useless. No, that's so wrong. No, if you can't do 15, can you do 14? Can you do 2? Can you do 0.5? Like, do something. Like, don't have this defeated mindset that if you can't do it exactly the correct way, you're not going to do anything at all. Or if you can't, pay yourself first right now, then it's bad advice. Nobody should listen to it. No, just right now, it might be hard, but in the future, maybe it won't be. Have an optimistic mindset, be hopeful, have it as a goal to reach in the future, even if you can't do it right now. So I just want to encourage you guys that these principles, they're principles. These are, you're not a horrible person if you can't do this right now, or you're not a failure if you can't do these right now. These are things to work up to. You can't do all of these things at once, maybe, but try to do a little bit at a time. Lesson number 4. I wish somebody would have told me the truth about debt. Like, I'm trying to avoid debt like the plague. And honestly, I know that it's not always realistic to be able to pay for things in cash, like a house, but also, I wish somebody would have told me, like, if you can't afford to pay for something in cash, then you just can't have it. Like, it's a mindset shift. I think in our day and age, debt is so common that it's just so easy to think that, getting into debt, it's no problem. Because we think, okay, as long as I can afford the payment, I can afford the item. And that is a poor man's mentality. And I don't subscribe to this good debt, bad debt thing. I think all debt is bad, but I'm also not against using debt when you have to, like when you're buying a house and things like that. But I feel like a good way to look at good debt versus bad debt is good debt is when you're using it for something that is income producing, and bad debt is when you're using it for something that is income consuming. So whether it be a car loan, credit card, student loans, and even a house for your primary residence, a mortgage, all of those, in my opinion, are bad debt because it's just consuming your income. Now, if you have a debt on a rental property where the tenant is paying your mortgage, then that is good debt in a way because you're not consuming your income to cover that debt. The tenant is. So anything that produces income and can cover the cost of the debt, I would consider that good debt. But if it's just consuming your income, then I would consider that bad debt. And I wish somebody would have told me about these interest rates because, I talked about interest rates when it comes to investing, and honestly, the higher the interest rate, the better, because the higher the interest rate, the more money you're making. But when it comes to debt, it's totally flipped on its head because the higher the interest rate with debt, the more money you're paying. And a way that I like to think of interest rates is it's basically a tax for being broke. Because when I bought a car that I could not afford and I needed to take out a loan for it, then, the car may have cost me $20,000 and may have got a 6% interest rate. And after, 5 years of paying it down, I didn't just pay $20,000 for the car, I paid $23,000 for the car. So $20,000 was the price of the car and $3,000 was my broke tax. And I know that could sound a little rough, like, what you talking about, broke tax? But honestly, I like to think of, debt in negative ways so that it will prevent me from easily getting into it. So if the salesman is telling you that your interest rate is about to be 6%, then in your mind, you could say, oh, 6% broke tax. Like when you think of that, that makes it, undesirable. That makes it like, dang, I don't want that. That's broke tax. Let's change our vocabulary. Let's change our vocabulary around debt. Instead of interest rate, say broke tax.